Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Taj Deshawn. Today I'm joined by my man Kyle Scelza, former Mountain Union basketball player. And Kyle and I worked together for about a month. This is a super sharp guy here, so you're going to want to really turn your volume up, pay attention to what this man has to say. Normally, I work with folks for 8 weeks. Kyle only needed a month, and that was something that we established from the first call based on his mindset and based on what he was out to accomplish. So first and foremost, Kyle, thanks for coming on today.
Taj, thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to it.
For sure, man. Why don't we just kind of start out with during the time we connected, which was last year around, I want to say October, November,
Yep.
somewhere around there. So around the time that we connected, just kind of explain to everybody where you were at in your post-basketball journey at that time.
Yeah. First off, I came across yourself from the NCAA after the game group on LinkedIn. I kind of love following that, love what former athletes are seeing. Came across what you were doing. At that point, just kind of in my, I guess you could say, life was there was just something missing from a whole standpoint of not really feeling like I'm driving my purpose, not feeling like I'm on the right track. I'm not excelling. It was one of the big things coming off the basketball court 3 years in. It's like I've always had the eyes on me from people in the stands. I'm always doing what I'm loving. I'm always having some success. There was a true goal of what I was doing. Now it was kind of like a little jumbled on. I wanted to get back on track. Really, when I reached out to you, I just wanted to have a phone call, kind of see what you had to say. Really, no intention of saying, "Hey, I'm going to join in this for 8 weeks, 4 weeks right out of the gate." I just really wanted to connect, kind of see what you were building, and discuss from there. And it kind of took off from there. So that's kind of the spot I was back in October, November when we first connected. I first reached out to you on LinkedIn.
Got you. Okay. And then I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that, man. Not just former athletes, but anybody who's just kind of like, I'm looking for that thing. I'm looking to find that kind of purpose and try to figure out which direction I'm heading. I think a lot of people are out here kind of blowing in the wind, which you and I have both been guilty of, at one point or another. But why don't you kind of talk about what life was like for you just immediately? Like, what was it like once you realized? I think you described to me, I'll let you tell the story, but after you played that last game and you were kind of sitting in the locker room, like, what was it like immediately after you realized basketball was over for you?
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. I talked to my teammates. This is probably something I didn't share with you, but leading up to that last week of the tournament, they could kind of tell I was kind of on edge because I knew it was going to come to an end. I knew, like, hey, this could be. I got in a couple guys. They're joking around at practice, nothing out of the norm. And I got into them. I said, hey, this could be our last game tomorrow, prepping. So it was one of those things that I knew it was coming. I was not prepared for it at all. I didn't want it to end. But I remember that last game. It was at John Carroll, one of our biggest rivals. I didn't play my best. The team didn't play our best. We kind of were upset. I remember sitting in the locker room still to this day. I had my head down. I had my shoes tied, my jersey on and everything. And everybody started packing up, getting ready to go. I refused to untie my shoes. I refused to take my jersey off because I knew that was it. I knew from that beginning, I didn't know what was going on in the future. It was just it was like I was losing my second child. I mean, basketball up to that point, sports, that drive is what really who made me. And I remember my coach coming, putting his arm around me. He said, it's going to be all right. You're going to figure it out. These are going to be some of the best 4 years of your life. And you got some brothers here that you'll be in their wedding someday. And he wasn't wrong. But that first day was tough. I remember that bus ride home. I didn't want to talk to anyone. My parents reaching out to me. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I mean, I remember that night, that morning. I remember even typing up an Instagram post that was like, this is the end, to my social media and everything. And after that, it was good. The next 3 months, it was kind of nice because I got to enjoy being a college student, but it was still something that I missed. It was when things got stressful, when something was going wrong, I needed to clear my mind. It was like I always went to the gym and got up 500 shots. I'd get on the gun, get jumpers up. That's what I did. And it was like, what's the purpose of doing that? But that was the big thing. And then jumping into my career, I really had no clue what I was going to be jumping into. I had a job at that point, but it was I really had no clue what the career was. I was just taking a job because I was taking a job, and it was really through somebody I knew.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people fall into that, man. I think it's one of those things where, you got to do something. You can't just be sitting around the house. You got to find something to pay the bills. So a lot of us former athletes, a lot of people in general out of college kind of fall into the first thing we can get our hands on and then kind of settle into it. And you're the type of guy I could tell immediately you weren't satisfied with just taking what you were given, just because of you still have that mentality. So what kind of things did you experience in terms of trying to find clarity? And this could either be when you and I started working together or even beforehand. What kind of things were you doing to try to get that clear picture for yourself as far as what you wanted the rest of your life to look like?
Yeah, in my kind of right out of the gate, it was tough. I took a job early on in my senior year, really before basketball season. It was through somebody I knew. He was actually a former Mount Union athlete as well, ran a mortgage company. It's like, hey, I'd love to get you on board if you're interested. I did it, and it was more of like, I'm going to take this job just so I don't have to worry about it. I could enjoy my senior year of basketball and focus on that. And it was a great opportunity. I learned a lot, but I went into it thinking, hey, this is the perception I had going into it was, hey, I'm gonna go work for a mortgage company. I'm gonna make a bunch of sales. I'm gonna jump right into it, make a bunch of money, and I'm just gonna be enjoying it. I got that athletic mindset that I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. And I remember walking into my first day, and it was a couple of days of training, and they gave you a phone and said make 400 or 500 dials. And I was like, okay, let's get after it. And then a week came by. I'm like, okay, wait, I got to do this the rest of my life. And then I had to study for an exam. So I was making 400 or 500 dials for 9-10 hours a day, going home, studying a couple hours to pass an exam. But that was kind of it from the standpoint. I remember always trying to stay focused on what the task at hand was. I was enjoying myself from the side, but the big thing was I was living for the weekend. I was trying to do whatever it could be to Monday through Friday. So Saturday came, it was like, okay, this is a 2-day break. Let's do whatever. And I enjoyed myself. It was fun, but Monday came and it was like, oh, I have to do another 5 days. It was always counting down the days. So that was the big thing for me when I first started, was just the adjustment of kind of jumping into everything.
Living for the weekend, man. I've been there, It's tough. That's a tough spot to be in because those 2 days just fly by like that.
It's hard not to though sometimes. Sometimes you gotta live for the weekend, but you're right. It's not one of those things you want to do 52 weeks of the year.
Exactly. You want to have something else that is driving you outside of that. That way your every day becomes like a weekend, that's the goal.
Absolutely.
So what, like, during I remember one of our last few calls, you were saying going into 2020, because our last call was like right before the new year, right before the holidays. And you were like, one of the things I'm really looking to do is going into this new year, just getting out of my comfort zone in like as many ways as possible. So just talk to me a little bit about during the past couple of months, like leading up to the new year, some things that you overcame internally and what it is you're looking to do moving forward. Not just career, but we're talking about just the man, Kyle himself,
I mean, certainly. I think the big thing for me was not really, I'm not a big New Year's resolution guy. I've always been that guy that I'm goal oriented. So when there's something that I want to get better at, something I want to focus on, do it, I'll do it right then and there. I'm going to make the changes to get it done. It just kind of happened to fall like the new year was gonna get it all going for me just because of the timeline that we're at. But I made my new goal of let's focus on pushing myself outside my comfort zone. And it was mentally, physically, and financially were the 3 categories I wanted to push myself. I mean, whether it's saving a few more bucks to use into an investment account, using real estate that we're going to get into, I'm sure, here in a little bit, or just saving a few more dollars, watching what I spend and whatnot. So I've created more of a budget from that standpoint. Physically, I've always been a guy that works out, but I wanted to tune it up a notch there's something I'm working for. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. I'm focusing on something. If I want to do like a triathlon, or if I want to run a marathon, if I want to do something that is truly going to push me. outside of just the everyday go to the gym, work out. That's one of the things. Maybe go on a strict diet, cut some weight, whatever it is. That's something I want to do physically, and then just mentally, just making sure my mind was sharp as it could be. Whether it was coming from meditating, some type of meditation, some more reading, just sharpen my brain, sharpen my mind, and make sure that I can push myself outside my comfort zone and in everything. Just those things that was like, you get to the point where it's like, oh, I don't really want to do this, but okay, this is the reason I'm going to do it. When I was an athlete, that was a big thing for me. It was, okay, I don't want to go to the gym, but I have to. My competition at the gym. So that's my big goal with those three categories. I know you kind of throw everyday life things into that, but just trying to keep that get it done mentality that I had as an athlete and push myself outside my comfort zone.
Right. That's awesome, man. What is it that you find yourself working towards these days? Like with the get it done mentality, what is it that you're trying to get done now? What are you striving for? What's next for you?
It's more of an everyday thing. I know I shared this example with you. The big thing that it's been getting the small task out of the way. Whether it is prepping my lunch for the week every single Sunday. Like that's one of the things I just finished up here is it was prepping my lunch. Like let's get it done so I don't have to do it on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. The one thing I used with you was the mail. I get the mail, throw it on the counter, and then I'll look at it 3-4 days later. Let's just get it out of the way, throw it in the trash if I don't need it, pay the bill right then and there, get it out of the way and get it done. To folding laundry, to whatever it was, just the little things. That was the real get it done mentality that I wanted from a day to day. And then also from a work standpoint, it was the big saying of eat 3 frogs a day. Go in there knowing that you have to make a couple hard calls, send a couple hard emails, whatever it was, go talk to somebody that you didn't want to confront on or whatever the situation was. Let's knock those out early on in the day. Let's just get it done. And that's one of the big things that I've been focusing more from a day-to-day aspect than a overall monthly task-oriented thing. It's just more day-to-day. Let's just get it done, whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah, man, you're a go-getter. You're a grinder. That's one of the things I respect about you. You'll just put your head down and do the work.
I got to give all respect to my high school coach. He's 15 wins away from 600 wins, and that was the mentality he had. He had our practice jerseys in high school. It said whatever it takes to get it done, and it was on the basketball floor. And it's some of the things he's taught me just from an athletic standpoint is he told me, he goes, you're going to use these every day in life once you get in the real world. And he wasn't wrong. I mean, he was teaching us things for basketball, knowing that it was going to change my life once basketball ended for 40 years. So
right.
Implementing some of those things that he taught me from just a basketball standpoint. What was the meaning behind it? Discipline, whatever it takes to get it done. That was a big thing for me. So I do got to give my coach some respect for that, and it's something I'm using every day still.
That's awesome, man. So you were at this point where you were like just living for the weekends and feeling kind of like, what am I really striving for long term? Where are you at now? Like, I guess let's talk immediate kind of short-term goals. Obviously the short-term goals for you is just working your ass off every day. Like we know that, but more like mid-range, long-term goals. What is it that you're working for? What kind of lifestyle are you trying to build? And then what, like, where are you going? What direction are you going career-wise, professionally, business-wise, all that?
I kind of found some enjoyment in one coaching. I know I'm doing some coaching basketball for some youth sports. That's something I truly enjoy. It's a couple hours of the week. It pushes me. It's my way of giving back to kind of some of the great coaches that taught me, made me who I am. I mean, this mentality I have now is strictly from youth coach, all the coaches that I've played for. So that's one of the things. That's my way to keep in and still get my fix with basketball. The other thing is real estate. I'm more focused. I know a lot of people, I'm 26 now, focus on let's make as much money as I possibly can. My big focus now is building wealth. Obviously, a portion of building the wealth is making that paycheck. I mean, making as much money as you can, but who cares if you're making 100 grand if you're spending 90 grand of it a year? So my big focus a little bit is on I want to make some more money, but building the wealth. And the big thing that I want to get into has been real estate. And that's something that I'm building from a long-term standpoint, a short-term standpoint. I just purchased my first duplex that I'm doing a so-called house hack where I live on one side, renting out the other side. That's been one of the big things for me. I might be getting into another one of a house hack where I'll keep the one I'm currently in and go find another duplex, or whether it's a single family home that I'm going to rent out down the road. So those are a couple things that I'm working on initially now. A couple things on the side, maybe potentially a flip to get some long-term buy and hold properties. That's the big long-term thing I want to build from a wealth standpoint. More from a short-term standpoint has been, if that's going to be my long-term goal, I got to focus on it more short-term as well, the day-to-day grind. So when we first kind of connected, I was waking up at 5:15, 5:30, going to the gym, working out, and then I was at my desk at like 7:45, 7:30, 7:45, and preparing for the day right then and there. One of the things, pushing myself outside my comfort zone, it's like, okay, let's get up earlier. That's when my mind's the sharpest. So my first alarm goes off a little earlier than about 4:30, about 4:20, and then second one goes off at 4:30. I'm up and at it. And then I want to get my workout in really before anyone gets to the gym. Right there and then I want, before I jump into my day-to-day of work, I want to spend an hour of researching some real estate, doing some more reading, just the things to sharpen my mind outside. So it's not one of those things you come home from a rough day at work and you strictly have to say, okay, I got to get something done. I mean, there are some days where it's just like, okay, I just want to decompress, relax, long day. I didn't get home till 6, 7. Okay, it's okay to just relax and not do much. But I already got that hour in of things that I wanted to do. So I've transitioned that hour short-term wise to going to the morning rather than doing it every day after work. And anything I get done after work is just a bonus. So those are two of the short-term and long-term things that I'm working on right now to build some wealth.
That's great, man. And the thing that I love about, well, a few things I want to touch on that you said. The thing that I love about the fact that you're really diving in with real estate is that obviously you already had the duplex when you and I first connected, but the fact that you're really carving out a lane for yourself in that industry and being like, no, I'm going to be a real estate investor. And not just because, like you said, it's not just about having passive income or just trying to do something, to get get a quick buck. You're trying to build wealth. You're thinking about how you're going to set your future family up, how you're going to set yourself up for the future. And on top of that, it's actually something you enjoy. A lot of people, as you would imagine, you and I both know people, man, who want to get involved in real estate just because they just see dollar signs and they're not thinking about the hours you have to put into it, the grind of it, educating yourself, which is something that you do, like whether you're doing it early in the morning or late at night, brushing up, perfecting your craft and making sure you actually know what the hell you're doing. And you're not just out here talking about, I'm going to be a real estate investor. Like you're putting the work in to make sure you can actually make it happen. And at 26, to have a duplex, no matter where you're living in the country, like hats off to you, man. That's big.
Yep.
That's major.
I appreciate it. Hopefully, next time we connect, there's a couple more that I got.
Yes, sir. I know you're working on it, man. I know you're working on it. And also and for anybody listening, when you hear Kyle talk about getting up at 4:30 in the morning, like this is something that I do too. And this, you got to understand, this is not for everybody. But if you're hearing this, the thing that Kyle's trying to get across is that he's waking up early so that he can put work in before his day starts. And this is so important. This is what a lot of people don't understand. If you're trying to build something on the side, whether that's starting a business or even looking for a new job, whatever it is that you're trying to do outside of whatever it is you're doing to earn money, and this is assuming you're not, you're wanting more or you're not happy with that, you have to make the time. Kyle's getting up at 4:30 and getting his workout in, doing extra research, putting the time in, coming home from work, and he's not flipping on the TV and watching Netflix. And this is not that everyone doesn't deserve to relax and unwind after a hard day's work, which Kyle does sometimes, which I do sometimes, but putting in those hours after hours too. You have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So if you're listening and while Kyle was talking about that, I hope that inspires you to take some kind of action. If you know that maybe you should set that alarm clock an hour earlier in the morning, I hope this is the moment where you decide to do that, you know? So great stuff, man. But why don't we kind of I want to have you give some advice to any former athletes listening right now, and not just former athletes, but anybody who is at a crossroads in their life and they're kind of struggling, trying to figure out, man, how am I going to get that kind of, I think we talked about the Mamba mentality, you know, how are we going to kind of get that, which I can tell, man, I can hear it in your voice, you got it back, but how are you going to get that go-getter mentality back in your life, and what do you do to figure out the next steps as a former athlete, as someone who's lost and, you know, in their transition?
Yeah, I think the big thing in me is I'm an athlete at heart, and I've always been. I mean, it's hard not to be. My first 23 years of my life was revolved around sports, revolved around getting better, being an athlete. I think that's never going to leave me. I got to still be an athlete. I mean, not from the standpoint of be that jock that's dominating rec league games. I'm not going to
Don't be that guy. You don't want to be that
There's
guy.
one day of the week that I play rec ball and want to be that guy that dominates my glory days, but it
Yeah.
doesn't happen that way. The big thing for me is just keep that athletic mindset. I mean, I remember I wanted to be the first guy at practice and last guy to leave. And
Mm-hmm.
it was one of those things I remember in high school and even in college. I started to do that. You see your teammates follow. That now they feel like they have to be there. Next thing you know, coach is getting there a little earlier because he's got to open the gym an hour before practice even starts. We're in a full sweat from just getting shots up, working our game, whatever it was. But it's that mentality, the discipline your coach things, the little things. Keeping that in my everyday life has been the biggest thing for me. And since working with you, that's been the biggest thing I think I've had the transition was focusing more on those little things, waking up early, making sure you're getting a good workout in, eating right, doing whatever it really takes to get those little things done. And even from a work standpoint, I mean, whatever it has to do to do it, if you have to stay a half hour later to get a couple more dials in, let's do it. That's been the biggest thing for me. So my biggest thing would be, one, obviously keep focusing on that athletic mindset, focus on what made you a great athlete, keep that mindset, keep that implemented into your day-to-day now. And then the second biggest one was networking. I know from the guy you connected me with, Hakeem, former athlete himself, professional athlete, his big thing was network. It's the same thing as being an athlete. I remember in the summer, one of the guys from a rival school down the road that you're going to be playing a couple times. He worked hard, so it was like, hey, let's get a workout in. A former college athlete that would be like, hey, let's get a workout in. And you go to the gym and you two are pushing yourself. It's the same thing in the business world. Let's network. You tell me what you're working on, and it just keeps your mind sharp, opens up a bunch of things. So just keeping the athletic mindset from little things and then also keeping that networking out. I mean, just like you did when you're an athlete. I think those are the two biggest advice that I'd give former athlete or even a current athlete as it is right now.
That's awesome, man. And then what about, that was all great, by the way. That was that might even be the clip that I share like on social media just so people can hear what you're talking about, man. What about in terms of someone who's like, they still have the athletic mindset just like you and I do, but they may be unclear about what arena they want to apply it to? Can you give any advice about kind of how to find some clarity or direction in that respect?
I think that's the big thing with getting outside your comfort zone. That's one of the things it was for me when I connected with you was the arena. Figuring out what exact arena you kind of want to get into. But I think the big thing is networking. I mean, talk to people, see what they're doing, pick their brain, and kind of combine everything. I think that's another big one. And then the other one is reading. I think reading is unbelievable. It's something I'll be completely honest. I never read a book in my life until probably 14 months ago. And then I remember last month, my goal was to read 12 books. I read 13 books last year.
Nice.
And that was the first time I've probably read 14 books in my life in 13 last year. But that was a big thing for me. Just getting outside your comfort zone, seeing really what's out there, and kind of find what you feel like you're serving others in ways, and finding what your niche is and doing a bunch of different things. Worst case scenario, you try something, you don't like it. It's just another tool in your belt that you can kind of keep building on. So try everything, talk to everyone, and really don't turn anything down. Be open-minded on everything.
Solid advice right there, man. Yeah, like you said, sometimes figuring out what you don't like is just as important as figuring out what you do like.
Sure.
But also another great thing you said is reaching out to people and even coming to someone and saying, hey, I'm kind of lost right now. I need some help, or looking at people who may be in a position that you want to be in, seeing what they're doing. That's one of the reasons why I even connected you with Hakeem and Joe. Those two guys who are involved in real estate. I think it's important to have as many people in your corner, as many people in your ear as possible who are doing what you want to do so they can give you some advice, and once you're so why don't you give some advice to former athletes who are, let's say they have connected with somebody, and this person is doing what they want to do and could leave them a trail of breadcrumbs. What advice would you give to someone who's working with a mentor or a coach or a guide?
There's some things that you're like, okay, there's no way this is going to work. I'm not going to do this. Try it. I mean, don't try it once, try it a couple times. I mean, big thing for you told me cold showers. That was one of the big things. That I was like, cold shower, what is that going to do? I mean, what the hell is a cold shower going to do for my day? Like, I don't need a little extra juice. And I was like, all right, whatever, let's try it. And I've tried it. I implement it really every day. I love it. Just from wakes you up right out of the gate. And it's one of those things, really the thing that I've seen the most for me, the biggest benefit for me, it's like, okay, right out of the gate, this is setting the tone. We're getting outside your comfort zone. This is getting outside your comfort zone. You're under that cold water, and it's like, okay, here's the start of being outside your comfort zone. So that's the biggest reminder to me I'm pushing to be outside my comfort zone all day, every day. And that's the biggest benefit I've seen on top of just the cold shower that you've taught me. But I mean, to your point, just to kind of working with the coach, it's you don't have to implement your whole life into it. It's just take little things from them. Kind of just get outside of your comfort zone. I know you taught me some things that I probably never would have ever wanted to do, and it was, let's implement it. It's just opening your mind for a lot of different things that could truly find you and to help find your purpose. So be open-minded. It's not just with the coach. It's really with anybody you connect with or talk to or work with or even come around about with.
Great advice, man. Yeah. For the record, I don't recommend that everyone take cold showers. It's not for everybody. I recommended that to you because I know you're a maniac like me. I know that was going to be the extra little bit of lighter fluid on top of a flame that was already burning pretty big, man. I'm like, let me get this guy on the cold showers game so he could be even crazier when he wakes up in the morning. So
you're so right. Yeah, I guess off to that point there that you kind of had was you connected with Hakeem and Joe, and both of those guys and what they're doing is unbelievable. They're killing it. And Joe's killing it out in the Hamptons. He's the man. He made me want to go buy a house in the Hamptons right out of the gate from just talking to him. And
oh man.
But both of those, something those guys said that was kind of probably unintentional that I kind of picked up with was both of them was talking about how they had a mentor that was that they work with, that this was my mentor. He's been teaching me a lot of things. It's like those guys are both wildly successful. They're not comfortable yet, and they have a mentor. So I don't think that it's ever bad to have a mentor. You're never too successful to have a mentor. I think everybody in life should have a mentor for every single part of their life, whatever it is. Just somebody you could talk to, just someone you could feel like you could get better from. So that's the big thing that I think I've taken from just talking to those guys, along with a million other things that they just talked about.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's a great point. You're never too big to have a mentor. And we come from an athletic background. So the thing that we forget is that as athletes, we do well under, the guidance of a coach, right? It's important to pick the right coach, of course, but like I have so many mentors, man, and half of them don't even know I exist. You know what I mean? There's people, that's what's so great about the time that we live in, is that you can have virtual mentors, digital mentors. Like you watch people's interviews and you just soak up so much game from these people that you're my mentor and you don't even know I'm alive. Of course I have people that I go to lunch with and have phone calls with that I'm actually on their radar. But we're talking about like the world is your oyster. Anybody can be your mentor if you just reach out and network, like you said, or just study people, man. Study people who are doing what you already want to do. Make your own blueprint. So,
Absolutely.
well, Kyle, man, before I let you go, of course, I got to do my acknowledgments and all that before I get all super mushy on you and all that. Is there anything else you want to share with anybody listening, former athletes or otherwise?
I mean, kind of just go off what I said. I mean, if you're an athlete, be an athlete. There's nothing wrong with being an athlete. If you're an athlete at heart, be an athlete at heart. Do what made you great at an athlete. Implement that into your day to day. Compare everything to. For me, it's like I compare everything to a basketball game. Do it. I mean, that's my passion. That's my love. That's easy for me. Let's compare. How did this compare to be a basketball? Like, what do you got to do to win this game? And every little task. So really that's what makes it work for me. Find what makes work for you, whether it is that athletic mindset or whatever it is, and then just excel at it. Do whatever it takes really to do that. That's my biggest advice for really not just former athletes but anybody in life, that just find what you do well and take off with it and just get better from it every single day is my biggest advice.
Well said, man. Big bars right there. Go ahead and drop the mic, you know? Well said, man. I think that's a great way to close it out. Man, Kyle, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing. Just a lot of invaluable information you just dropped on here today that's going to help a lot of people, man. And thank you for being a great participant in the program, for actually taking, and I say participant because you have to participate in order for the stuff to work, right? If you didn't apply anything that we talked about and you're just like, okay, you get off the phone calls and don't do anything with it, then nothing happens. But you're the kind of guy where every time we got off the phone, you would do something and then report it back to me on the next call. And we worked together for a very short period of time. You know, normally I'm doing 8 weeks with somebody. You and I did the 4 weeks, but we got a lot of work done. And I'm super proud of you, man. And, you know, I know we're going to be in touch in the future. And who knows, man, we may be even going in on some real estate deals today. We might be buying some property in the Hamptons together from Joe. You know what I mean? So
Let's make it happen.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Hey, man, well, you have a great rest of the evening out there. And we'll be in touch, man. And thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly. And I guess anybody that is following you from LinkedIn that haven't connected with you, give a shot. If you're feeling like you're not fully falling on your purpose, reach out to Taj, take a call with him. Even if you don't enter the program, I think it would be a tremendous benefit just to get connected with you, build your network, talk to somebody, and literally just pick their brain, see what you can get sharper at. And if it's something that you feel that is going to bring you some value from going through the 4 weeks or the 8 weeks that you'll work with them, just do it. I think that was the biggest thing for me was I finally just sent you a message on LinkedIn and here we are. And I've got some crazy value from it. So I appreciate all you've done and glad we got connected.
That's great, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Those words mean a lot to me, man. You know, it makes everything worth it. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, bro. All right, Kyle, we'll talk soon, man. Thanks again for coming on.
Josh, appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, man. You too.